Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wingcat Sports, and it's our Lions draft video. We got to actually get to talk about the draft this time. I got my uncle here finally
Yeah, it's
again.
fine. It's good to be back. A little bit of it's ever since the season ended. I'm not the most knowledgeable of Red Wing or Tigers right now, but it's good to be back talking Lions.
But we can go over the draft. A record-setting draft for the NFL, highest attendance ever for a
Yeah,
draft. Almost a million people. It
yeah.
was a 3/4 of a million. Showed up downtown
Yeah.
over the weekend.
I
Helped out on
appreciate the
business.
city behaving themselves because I work in a trauma center there, not far from where it was, and we were expecting all hell to break loose, and we got nothing. So, way to go, Detroit.
It was a nice event for the city.
Yeah,
And it probably has changed the
yeah.
opinions of some people out there in the country. But to actually go through our draft picks. On night one, we actually traded up. A little bit of surprise, but there was that rumor that we were going to trade up just before the draft. Some people didn't know if we were going to trade out because they were talking about that too. But we ended up trading up, and we got Terrion Arnold from Alabama, adding our Alabama players because people like to now call us the Detroit Crimson Tide with the amount of Alabama people we're getting. But he is the second best cornerback in the draft, and we got him at number 24.
Many people say he's the best. So I don't. I think
What's
it's
with these
a
Bama
toss-up,
boys?
and that's what we needed. We needed a nice number one cornerback, and it looks like this guy could maybe
Yeah.
fill the bill. Um, I mean, give it an A plus for the first pick.
Well, I think a lot of Lions fans were like, this draft was boring. There wasn't a lot of excitement. Who are these guys? But, when you're used to picking second or third when your team is complete shit,
Yeah.
you get more high profile players, maybe players that are more familiar to you. And when you did as well as the Lions do, you're just trying to shore up some needs.
Yep.
And that's what they did. If anybody remembers, you had guys like Nick Mullins throwing back-to-back 400-yard games on you, and he's a third-string quarterback. It's turning into a quarterback's division.
Yeah.
And our secondary was by far the worst part of our defense. You had Will Harris, who has struggled with this team for a long time. You had Chase Lucas, who probably just, not his effort was questioned, but maybe just not the skill set you wanted in that position. Cam Sutton decided to be a boxer, and CJ, he was more interested in being flashy than I think playing football.
Don't forget about Kendall Vildor.
Yeah, Kendall Vildor, the one that couldn't
That's
guard.
A freak accident.
You know what? He is what he is. He's not meant to be a starter. Vildor will fill in it. But no, they got what they wanted. They got two very good. That Rakestraw was actually, according to Holmes, like third on their list.
Yeah.
For a potential pick in the first round.
But Arnold, he's 5'11", 189. So not like overly big. He's about my height, around my weight, but more muscle mass. But what was your opinions on it, Dad? You didn't really get to your opinion on it.
About the first pick?
Yeah.
Oh, I told you it was an A plus. I think that they did what they needed to do, and they filled probably the biggest need. And they may have a number one corner, and a legit shutdown corner, which is what they needed.
Yep.
You can't. I don't think you can really argue with that.
No.
That was,
Surprise for the second pick, though. We went cornerback again. Ennis Rakeshaw or Straw. He is now on the Lions as well.
I know who that guy is.
In my opinion, he's just the same height and weight as Arnold. In my opinion, this shows that Davis is going to be a 1-year rental, and one of these guys is starting in 2 years. Whoever's better gets the starting job.
Think about what we could potentially have if these two guys work out. You're going to have Brian Branch. You're going to have Rakestraw. You're going to have Arnold. You're going to have a really good secondary back there.
Yeah, I think initially I hated it. Initially, I was just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But then I was kind of, like I said, it's the theme of this draft for me, at least, is my own ignorance as far as what exactly are they doing? Why would you take two cornerbacks in a row? But as you explained it, after I thought about it and after what you said, that was kind of brought to light the fact that, they're not going to probably pay Carlton Davis a contract after this year. And so why not? You got your quarterbacks for the next 3 or 4 years if it works out. And that's the difference. And we're not used to that around here.
Now,
a guy
answer me
who's
this.
managing his money and a guy who is constantly tweaking this team. This is something we haven't had before, Holmes.
I don't think most people, the first round pick, Arnold, did not surprise Lions fans. We kind of knew they were going cornerback the whole time.
So we might
I
get
think
Kool-Aid,
it was
though.
this. I think the second one
was shocking.
because let's face it, were you guys expecting an offensive lineman?
I mean,
was.
eventually.
Oh yeah,
I
thought
was.
it was gonna be
I
Beebe.
was.
I
Which
thought it was gonna
led-
be Cooper Beebe.
Yeah,
To you trading
that's
up
what I was hoping.
for you trading up in the 4th round to get Giovanni Manu out of University of British Columbia. Looking at him when he first got drafted, I was like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Yeah, I think we all said
and
that.
then you look at his height and weight and just how he is. He's fast for his size. He's 6'7", 350. No fat on his body. It looks like he runs under a 5.40. He is a fast offensive
There's
lineman.
always little gems that people might overlook in this draft. He could be one of them, and he's a project. He'll hopefully he'll get some work in, and maybe you'll see him, sparingly. He's going to be the backup to what, Decker?
Probably, but the one thing you got to think about, he does come out of the Canadian League, but the Canadian League is known for being more agile. So
that's what they said. They said the one thing they don't think they'll need to work much with him on is footwork, which is huge for offensive linemen. They said the guy is incredibly agile.
He does look
fast
like it.
For his size, and
Yeah.
as you guys said, when you think 350, you think me.
Do you think us?
and,
That's funny.
But he is.
I didn't
freaking-
say it. You
He
did.
looked like he came down from Mount Olympus. He was just a god or something like that.
Well,
And
how many of you put on YouTube when you heard who they draft? Like, who is this guy?
well, what
And
I
he
did
looks
see it.
agile. He
thought-
doesn't look like he's slow.
and I think that's going to be good. I mean, you drafted Sorsdale last year. Now that's still a project. He's still learning stuff. You got Manu, and then you drafted another one later on the draft for a guard, and we'll go over him once we get to that pick. But you're strengthening that offensive line. This was mostly a secondary and offensive line draft for the Lions. Not that as many picks as we usually have had in the past few years, but that's kind of what you focused on.
Right. And I think Manu, like we were talking about Carlton Davis, Manu is there to possibly, looks like, replace Decker
We just hope Manu isn't
Or-
manure.
and move to the
Zeitler.
right.
Or
with Penny
Zeitler
Sewell.
when he leaves
Yeah.
in a year.
Because that's what this is. This is constantly. You're not going to. There's only going to be a few people who are going to be with this team along a while.
Yeah.
You got that core, and then everyone else is interchangeable.
Moving on to the next pick, I was confused when he first got drafted, and then I saw the change, not realizing he plays both sides of the ball. Sion Vaki, he is a running back / safety out of Utah. He ran for 500 yards, 5 TDs on offense, and had 51 tackles and an interception on defense. He's probably going to be a big special teams guy and a fill-in player if
That's what
anything
I
goes
said.
south.
I wouldn't expect to see much offensive production out of this guy. It sounds like he was more for them a defensive and special teams guy, and that's, again, it's a need that we got to fill.
And he sounds like a Dan Campbell kind of guy. I don't know much about him, but he's one of these, like you said, Swiss Army knife players. And I wouldn't be surprised if they use him if the running backs go down hurt, and you got a guy like this. Who knows? It's great to have a guy who's that willing to do so many different things. He's even been quarterback before, I heard.
Really?
So he is going to be somebody very odd when he's on special teams. They're going to be able to do a lot of different things with him.
I saw some video of him playing as a defensive back, and let me tell you, this guy, he hits.
Yeah. That's what the special
Which
teams
is
is going to
another
be
Dan
there.
Campbell thing.
Yeah.
So
no one who
he
doesn't
shows
hit
up and
usually
he
gets
hits.
drafted by this team
So-
on defense.
Moving on to the line, we did draft a defensive tackle with our next pick. Mekhi Wingo of LSU, 6 feet, 284. I think he's going to be a little bit of a development guy, but I
Yeah.
mean, you got more people on that line. He's still trying to work on Broderick Martin from last year, so we'll see what ends up happening.
I don't know much about him. I've heard his name before. He sounds a bit small for a defensive tackle, but like you said, they're going to work with him. Maybe he makes up for that in quickness. He played for LSU, so I mean, he was a starter for them, I do believe. So that's something.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, his quickness. He's extremely quick off the ball.
Is he an edge rusher?
They said he goes.
He is a tackle. He's
Okay.
inside.
He like runs the 10-yard in like 1.6, which is like running back speed or wide receiver speed.
Yeah.
He reminds me of a John Randall type. Remember him?
Oh God, yes, terrorized us for many
He's
seasons.
what John Randall was an undersized defensive tackle who used his quickness and his other thing. You know, you never know about intangibles. And Wingo, like you said, we this is a name we've heard. We know him from the SEC. He's a guy, again, Dan Campbell, a lot of energy. You don't need to motivate these guys.
No.
They're self-motivated and they love football.
Last draft pick we got in the draft from us was a guard out of Christian Mahogany. He is a decent guard from what it shows. He's fast. He's able to get to the defenders and make sure it buys a little bit of time, but he does need some work. But I think that could be another guy who could really help out.
This was a guy I heard that was projected to be as high as a 3rd round draft pick. I mean, he's not some unknown. I mean, he's got a reputation as some guy that's got good hands, good feet, good size. I had never heard of him, but I mean, are you going to see what he can do?
He was projected to be the 2nd best guard in the draft in 21. But again, a lot like Wingo, injuries. And Dan Campbell likes to do this. He likes to take chances on guys who drop because of injuries, like Johnny Pascal. This guy looks like they have him, you know, in case nothing happens, they have him penciled in. You know, a lot of people say he's going to take Zeitler's spot after this year. Again, not paying these 1-year guys anymore, not giving, he might take over. Supposed to be a monster of a run blocker.
Yeah,
that's exactly what we need too.
It seems they are going to be building up outside of what they have already. They're bringing in new guys. The line's going to look a little bit better probably in a couple of years and still continue to be good.
Yeah,
with younger guys, and that's what we can hope for. And then there is a few undrafted free agents that the Lions signed. I know one wide receiver out of Illinois that a lot of people thought that they would get drafted. We signed a few others. I'm just making sure I actually get the names of who we signed because I did not have that. So Isaiah Williams was a wide receiver out of Illinois. 82 catches for 1,000 yards last season. So
good numbers. I mean, I don't know who that is.
He was a decent wide receiver for Illinois. We'll see if he potentially makes practice squad or the team as like a 5th wide receiver. See what happens. Isaac Uku, defensive end out of Ole Miss. He had 3.5 sacks last year. Steele Chambers, linebacker out of Ohio State. Hogan Haddon, long snapper out of Idaho. So that's an interesting one there. I don't know why we have another long snapper. Isaac Rex, tight end, BYU. Luke Clemens, center out of UCLA. Jalen Calhoun, wide receiver out of Duke. So there's a few guys on here that might be able to make an impact. I don't fully know. The only ones I could see would be the wide receivers. Otherwise, I think the team's pretty set in their positions. Maybe more of like who can make the practice squad and who can't.
Yeah, a lot of those guys are not going to make the team.
Especially a tight end. You probably ain't making the team with the amount of tight ends we got.
No.
But overall, draft grade, I would give the Lions a B around there. It was a decent draft. I wouldn't be too upset with it. But
I'd give it a B.
I originally, when I first reacted to it, gave him a D+. But after listening
you need
to
a day
the
for it to
reasoning
settle in.
and listening to people talk about it, I'll give him a B+. I think this is. I see where they're going, and this is what I'm not used to around here, at least. They have a very plan to fix things, and they stick to it, and they know what they're looking for. Certain character people. So I mean, I guess we should always, we're going to be doing this as long as Holmes is drafting, shaking our heads and then going, "Oh yeah, I see what he's doing."
I shook my head with Jahmyr Gibbs.
And then look what happened.
Yeah, and then look what happened.
So
Glad to have
really
him.
good pick. So,
Yeah.
but with all that being said, though, if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about the draft down in the comments. Until next time, hope to see everybody soon.
Go Lions.